Welcome to Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Planting Positive Seeds, Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie. And I'm so excited for you on tonight just to come back and visit us. I just want to let you know that I appreciate every time you all come by to hear our special guests and just share the podcast with your families and friends, because here on Inspirational Talks, we plant positive seeds in the lives of others daily so that you can get the encouragement, the motivation, the empowerment, and also some tools you need for your life. But without further ado, the guest that we have on tonight, I'm very, very excited to have her on tonight. We've crossed paths for a lot of years. Like, we've been moving and shaking in entrepreneur life, and I'm so excited to have her on the show tonight. So I'm going to bring in my special guest. Her name is Miss Melisssa Banks. Come into the show. How are you tonight?
I'm amazing, LaDonna. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Listen, I'm ecstatic. I'm about it. I started to think about it. I was like, let me see. When did Melisssa and I first meet? I think it was maybe at the brunch that Letitia had. Mm-hmm. I think I remember coming over to the table and purchasing some of your beautiful pearls. I love pearls. I think I brought a necklace that day, but since then, I was a part of your the top 50 women,
yes,
the Black Women's Expo. So we've known each other and in some of the conferences that you've had. But I'm so excited because I know the work that you do, not only with your event planning, but all of your books. I just wanted to have you on the show so that you could, spread that joy, that cheer, that inspiration, and why you do what you do with the listeners here at Inspirational Talks.
Well, LaDonna, you're exactly right. That is exactly where we met at the brunch, and it was a connection right there. But we've been in each other's space in some type of way over the years. So that was like 2019, I think, early. So we definitely have been in each other's space. I just admire you so much. And I'm so passionate about connecting with women and inspiring women to do more, want more, to believe in themselves. So that's put us in the same path. And we work with Cyrus Webb.
Yes,
it's another area that we have in common as well.
We do. Yes, we do. We have so many things in common, and we, connection that we've had over the years. It just seemed like, like you said, we have been in each other's lives for a long time. But Melisssa, since I know you, I want you now to just share a little bit about you and what you do with the guests and with the listeners.
Oh, absolutely. My entrepreneur career began over 25 years ago when I lost a job that I had that I thought I would have forever. And came in one day, rumors had circulated that they were downsizing. We came in one day and we were laid off. Had been there for 11 years and had retirement, was going to settle in there. But God always has a plan, because he had planted in my spirit a few weeks before that happened that I would own my own business. I grew up in a small town in Mississippi. I had no idea what that meant. I didn't know people who looked like me that had their own businesses. It was foreign to me. But the day that I was laid off, and I was in tears and afraid, I was a single parent, but the day I was laid off, that moment came back to me. And I refer to that moment as my defining moment, because it changed everything in my life. That moment, it came to me in my greatest fear, and I felt calm and secure, but I still didn't know what that meant. That was over 25 years ago, and I've been building my business since then. I started out as an event decorator. And that led to other things. And I found a passion that I was passionate about creating events, but also about pouring into women, because I was a survivor of domestic violence. I know that we get into our head and we don't believe in ourselves, and that make us stop. And my mission and my passion, my purpose, and all the things that I do, whether it's event planning, whether it's books or speaking, my ultimate goal is to inspire women to believe in themselves. Because when we start there, LaDonna, when we start believing in ourselves and listening to what's in our minds and making sure that it's positive, we can move forward and we can be unstoppable. So that's been the basis of my career. In my books, my books are designed to encourage, to inspire, to help you believe in yourself, to give you those reminders on a daily basis that you have everything you need. You just start with you.
Oh, wow. That's so amazing. And, congratulations for your tenacity and for your continuing of following your passion for, pushing out and helping others to overcome things and know that they can continue to move forward. For you sharing with us, some of the things that you've been through to help you to strive forward and to, keep doing the things that you love. Empowerment and inspiration, those are things that people need on a day-to-day basis. And I see that in many of the things that you do, the theme of how you're, interacting with others and the conferences and different things that you do. I can definitely see that, Melissa, that it's embedded in you and it's a part of who you are, to share that love and share that encouragement and to let women know that they're unstoppable, because I was getting encouraged, just by listening to you, because you stepped out. And I know I felt that same way too, because I shared a story many times on here about the day that I got let go from my job. They were downsizing. And that was a conversation I had with God. He said, use what you have in your hand. And I had my small 2 sons at the time too. And so I had to step out on faith to actually become, this international author, LaDonna Marie, because before then, I love writing books, but I just was writing because God said so. But when he wanted me to, to go further, I had to trust him. And so I admire, you sharing your story about how you trust him, and look how far it has brought you. So I just thank you for sharing that with others. I know there are some people that are listening out there that may be in a situation where you have lost a job and you feel like you don't know what's next, but you look to the hills from what cometh your help. God is the center of our lives, and reach out to him and seek him, and he will help you to find that next step, help you to find those gift, talents, and abilities that he's placed on the inside of you. So thank you again, Melissa, for sharing that. I want to ask you as well, you probably kind of answered it, but I want to ask you, what inspires you to do what you do?
LaDonna, when I started my entrepreneur journey, I was a decorator, and I saw what was right in front of me, and that was decorations. But then and I loved bringing people's visions to reality. I found a passion in me, but it was a bigger picture, right? So it went from that to actually being a part of the entire event. And if you look at my background and my journey, you will see that the word dream comes up all through my journey.
Yeah.
And that's what the base is. Even when my goal was to create a fabulous event, putting all the pieces together and being able to be a part of that, that was part of the journey. And that was also helping people's dream come true. But it was even more than that than I could see. So my event planning career opened up so many other doors that was beyond the visual, beyond the event that you could see. All of that was part of it, but I just didn't see it. And I think that happens to so many of us, that we get a tunnel vision and we think it's supposed to look a certain way, but God had a bigger plan that I didn't see. Then we had the Black Women's Business Expo. That was my very first expo for women, and God gave me that vision, and it was amazing. I was excited. It was so many women in there, and that was the first time I ever shared any of my story, was on stage at that event. So God opened up doors, and he had a bigger plan, and I just have followed that plan. Even in my darkest moments, I keep moving forward. I think that's what we have to do. We have to be willing to step out and do the uncomfortable when it feels uncomfortable, and trust that God has a plan going down the road. Even during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, my business was set up to be the very best year ever in event planning. My calendar was full way ahead of time. I was excited about the year. And then March 20 happened, and everything changed, and I was afraid. I was afraid that what I was supposed to be died in March of 2020, because my calendar went from booked to empty in a week's time, because my events were all in person. That's all I knew. But God already had a plan for me, and that was virtual events. That was speaking opportunities. That was so many more things. And my lesson and my message is to be willing to let things go, believing to trust what you don't see. Don't just look right in front of you, and be willing to believe in yourself and to keep moving. It went from decorations, which I still love today, I still do today, to all the other things that happened after that that I wouldn't have even known to dream, but God had a bigger plan for me. And the willingness to be able to move even when it didn't feel right, even when it felt uncomfortable, even when I was afraid, opened up so many other doors.
Wow. And that is amazing because I was there at that expo and I would have thought that this was like your third or fourth amazing, camera actions. We had Cyrus there doing interviews.
Yeah.
We had a panel on the stage. We had vendors. I mean, you did an amazing job. God did that through you just to be there and to see everything, how well put together it was. And so, kudos to you for always listening to, that small, still voice of what God is saying and pushing you into your next and pushing you into greater, and trusting him as he leads you down this path. And yeah, I can see the word dream just following you through each one of your events and different things that you are doing, that you have your hands on. And I can see that, it's like a theme. And it's just like, to me, standing on this side, as you were talking, it's just like you're living out this dream. Your dream is coming true, that everything that God places in your hands, you're able to execute with him. You're able to bring it to life. And so that's a great testament of your faith. It's a great testament of your being consistent and persistent and just trusting God as he leads you and you follow him. So that's just amazing. So thank you so much for sharing, what inspires you. I wanted to take a moment. We talk on the show all the time as planting positive seeds in the lives of others, but I want you to share a time with us that you had to overcome an obstacle, something that, may have, took you by surprise, and you had to, help God to figure it out, to walk yourself through. But share with us a time when you had to overcome an obstacle.
Well, one of the things, and I talked a little bit about that just a moment ago, but when the pandemic hit and my business was 99% in person, and I was afraid of technology. So leading up to that point, I didn't really do anything other than maybe post on social media, but I was afraid of it. It was out of my wheelhouse. I thought I had to have other people do things that virtual event has never even occurred to me. But then I had to figure out what I was going to do. Was I going to let my dream die right there because I couldn't do in-person events? That wasn't an option. I didn't know how to use technology in order to do some of the things that other people were doing because I hadn't stepped outside of my comfort zone to learn how to do those things. So now I was in a place of fear. I was in a place that I felt my dream was dying. And then I was in a place and said, well, Lord, if this was my dream, if this was your plan for me, how could it be stripped from me all in one time? Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand. I didn't know what to do, frankly. And someone said to me, someone I had met that was inspiring, said to me, have you thought about doing virtual events?
Wow.
That meant I had to learn a lot. I had to learn how to get on Zoom. I had been a guest on Zoom. I had been in chats on Zoom. I had not posted anything on Zoom. I didn't know how to log into Zoom. I didn't even have a Zoom account. So I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I was at a loss. But I knew I had a dream in my heart, in my gut, and I had to step out. So I started taking baby steps and taking classes and getting some mentorship and some coaching from people who already knew how to do that. And then God blessed me with a mentorship from David Tutera. And I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is a celebrity event planner over 30 plus years. And he offered a free training on Zoom, and I just showed up for it.
Wow.
I was learning how to do Zoom. Now, mind you, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was so hungry for an answer that
Mhm.
I signed up, even though I was so broke because all of my events had canceled. I had no money. I went into that free Zoom, but he offered an upgrade. The upgrade you had to pay for, but you got some guidance directly from him.
Yes.
And I signed up for it. I got them. I put the money in it, and I signed up for it, and I engaged. And at the end of that, he offered me a 1 year mentorship directly from him for
Wow.
free.
Wow.
God had it all set up. And that mentorship helped me to get comfortable with virtual events, helped me to get comfortable with the event planning industry, looking at it differently. All of that was part of God's plan. But we have to do something. God is not going to do it all, right? So I had to be willing
Exactly.
to step up. I had to be willing to say yes, even when that fee looked like a whole lot of money at that point. But I still did it. And then it gave me that 1 year of mentorship, and it just opened so many other doors.
Wow, that is so just amazing how, saying faith, just trusting God and how you were favored in those situations, when you didn't know, what was going to be next, but God he had a plan, he had a ram in the bush. And that's just so amazing, saying when it works out, it's for our good. What I'm saying? We say
Absolutely.
that Bible scripture all the time. All things work together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. But when it starts to work out, you just know that God got me. And for you to have that free training and then the mentorship, it was just like it was meant because you were putting in the work and you were doing the practical things and you were, trying to get to the next step of learning what you needed. And then, some favor and some answers came and help and assistance. And, that's just like God. He'll take care of us. If we take that first step, he'll take the rest. I have a lot of those moments when my mouth is just open because I'm like, God, I was, like I was talking to you about it. And now here it is right in front of me. I was saying this to you the other day, and now someone's, saying, "Hey, LaDonna, would you like this? Or can you come here? Or would you like to do this?" And I'm like, God, you're amazing. So I know that feeling, Melissa, and thank you for sharing that with us. I know how God just continues to wow us and amaze us all the time, and just being a good father and knowing what we need when we need it. I want to ask you about, let's just turn a little bit and talk about some of your books. I want to talk about your project. So just share with us and the listening audience about your books and some of your different projects that you have going on.
Okay. Well, my latest book is, I'm super excited about the latest book. The latest book is actually a journal, and we're calling it the Dream Journal. And that's not by accident. Um, it was during a period that I journaled during a real, what I call it, refer to as a really dark season for me. I
Mhm.
was in I'm a domestic violence survivor, and I was in a very dark place. But during those times, I picked up a journal and I started writing my thoughts. I started writing how I felt in that moment. And as I wrote, I would spend just a few minutes in the mornings just writing really my true feelings. Those thoughts, LaDonna, that you wouldn't repeat to anybody but God, but you could hear it, you could feel it in your gut. And I began putting that on paper. I have those journals. I have some journals that are 25, 26, 27 years old. I still have those journals, and I can pick them up during certain moments where I need encouragement, or during certain moments that I just need some peace. And I'll just read something, and it'll remind me where I was and how I was able to endure. Even if it's a bad time, I was able to endure it. So I go back to those journals. I wanted to be able to put that in the hand of women to say, you know what, it's okay to have those fears. It's okay to have those thoughts, that your own thoughts, but it's okay to spend some moments putting that down. Just create an environment, not just sitting anywhere, not just, man, light a candle, grab a cup of coffee, sit down with a beautiful journal and write your thoughts, make it an experience for you. And once you do that, down the road, next month, next 3 months, next 3 years, you can pick up where you wrote in 2024 and it can inspire you and encourage you just at the moment that you need it. That's our latest book. That book was a bestseller on Amazon. We're super excited about that. But that was the inspiration behind that book. And that is why it is called Dream Journal, because that's what it's all about. Each one of my books, I have 3 books out, and they're all for motivation and inspiration. There's
Mhm.
one business book, what we call Do You Really Need an Event Planner? And that book is to make it look at your events and what types of events you have and why you need someone to help you do that. So both of those are blessings that I never dreamed. I'd never thought about being an author. I'm not one of those people that wanted to be an author, that liked writing, or ever thought that was in the plan for me. But that is something that God had planned for me. I just didn't know it, and it's been such an amazing experience for me.
Yes. Well, congratulations on your books. And I just put my fingers on the Dream by Design, the devotional.
Hmm.
I remember getting one of your dream box, and I was so excited. I had the nice candle, and I had, a piece of a pearl little necklace, of a bracelet, and the Dream by Design devotional. And it was such a great book to, like you said, sit down with some coffee and write about my encouragement for today, because sometimes you just need to reflect. I
Hmm.
do a lot of that in my quiet moments. I just sit and I reflect on some of the things that have happened, some of the things that I want to continue to happen. And I want to just, write those things down so I can have a place to come back to it. And so I was very excited each day to be able to have, the devotional, so that I could write down some of my thoughts and things that encourage me on the way. So I know that your books are great, because I've had an experience one for myself. So congratulations again on your books and being bestseller and everything that is to come.
Thank you
Everything.
so much.
You're welcome. Well, Melisssa, I want to talk about what are some of the things that you do outside of business, because we're business women and we have time to nourish and love our business. But what are some self-care things that you do just to take care of you, or some downtime fun activities that you love to do?
One of the things that we feel like if we're not working on our business, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. But there are certain moments, like I like to enjoy a cup of coffee with the peppermint in it, and I do that in the afternoons, just as to kind of break it up. I'll just sit with my cup of coffee and stir the peppermint in it, and that's just a very relaxing time just for me. But one of the main things I do, LaDonna, is I spend some time with my mother. I go pick her up, take her to Roses or to the Dollar Tree or wherever, just get her out of the house and then take her to a nice lunch. And that is so rewarding to me. And we do that in the middle of the week. We might do it on Wednesday or Thursday in the middle of the week. Just that time together, that I'm not working and I'm not on my phone while we're together. We're there. And that's just so fulfilling to me. And I believe in family. Family is very important. Our family come together every Friday morning for coffee and cake at my mother's house. We just sit around, talk about nothing, just hang out for about 2 hours on Friday mornings. And those moments are so important to just get your head back right in a good space and know that you don't want to work 24/7. That's not good for anybody. But the
Right.
important what I was encouraging someone recently is it doesn't have to be a trip. It can be sitting with someone you care about and having a cup of coffee or just chatting, but it is important to pull away for a moment and just relax and think about something other than the projects that you're working on.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I think I've seen a couple of pictures of you and your mom on Facebook, some of
Mhm.
the times and things that you guys have done. And I've always seen those big, beautiful smiles. You guys are smiling and just enjoying time. So that's just a blessing to see. And it is a great thing to do. So, if you're out there listening, if you're wondering for some downtime and some, family times and things to do, just keep in mind those who are close to you, love them and give them their flowers
Mhm.
and just spend some time. So there's always a great downtime thing to do. Well, Melisssa, as we begin to close, I wanted to ask you, what would you, I guess, tell someone who is just starting out? Like, how would you encourage them to move forward?
Oh wow, that's a great question. I love this question. I would say to them, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the details planned out. You don't need to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. You don't have to have all the money in the bank. You don't have to know how it's all going to happen. Because if you never start, it's not going to happen. I'd like to use an analogy. I'm going to go back to coffee and cake with my mother on Friday morning. She is 89 years old. She still makes the cakes, but she has to prepare. She has to prepare, right? She has to make sure she has the grocery in the house to make the cake. And then the butter and stuff have to sit out on the counter for a certain length of time before she can make the cake. But you know what? What if she just pulled it all out, got everything together and in place, got her mixer ready and her pan ready, and she stopped? She never put it all together and put it in the oven. Because nothing happens, no matter how much that butter and flour and sugar and eggs on the counter look, until she mix it up and get it into the oven, it will not be a cake. Right. I'm saying to you that every single ingredient necessary for your dream, if you never take the action to start, all those steps you keep checking off are just steps. Your dream is not going to happen. It is guaranteed not to happen if you don't start. But if you start, even when you only have 1 of 10 things that you think you need, if you start right there, then your dream will happen. Because once you start and you keep doing something and doing something else, and when you know anything, you've got a whole cake. You've got the dream. But the key is starting. So just start.
Oh, wow. That was such a motivational speech. And it was a great, great visual to just, see in our mind's eye of how, your mother starting that cake or not, so that was a really, really great, just to let them know to keep going and to start. So as we finish, I want to just ask you if you have any final thoughts. You can share them now. This has been a great, great inspirational interview. I loved, everything that you had to say. And I know that many of the women and the listeners out there will be encouraged.
But thank you so much, LaDonna. This has been so great to just have a chat with you. And I hope something I said encourages someone to get that idea. Sometimes that idea gets stuck in our belly, and every time we think about it, it's time, and we talk ourselves out of it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Move on it with just what you have. Use what you have and move on it. Please stay connected with me at themelissabanks.com, and all of our platforms, all of our information is right there, and I would love to hear from you. And that's at themelissabanks.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And everyone, you heard it there. Please stay connected to her. Go out and purchase her books and be motivated and inspired. We thank you for sharing your time with us, and come back and visit us here at Inspirational Talks with your host, LaDonna Marie, and listen to my many inspirational guests that I have coming on the show. Peace and blessings, everyone, and have a great night. Okay. This has been another purpose-packed episode of Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast. Please remember to like, share, and tell your friends about the podcast. Stay tuned for many more Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie.